on your knees.
I first heard about the drive from my friend Kenny. We worked together at the local newspaper. I was the graphic designer and he was an in-house videographer. We were both laid off and packaged out in late 2009. We'd kept in touch. We lived only about a block from each other, so we'd get together once a week for a coffee and we'd chat about the state of the world and the lack of work. Though Kenny's favorite subjects were the rise of social and political injustice, the surveillance state, and of course, the New World Order. Kenny was a vocal activist. He had gone to the G20 summit in Toronto. He witnessed the capture and detention and abuse of hundreds of his fellow protesters. It was there that Kenny heard a rumor about a portable hard drive that was filled with encrypted data. Supposedly it had been smuggled out by one of the dissenters in the shadow government and handed off to a group of hackers to try to decipher. Kenny called it the Holy Grail of intel. It had information on everyone in the shadow government, their corporate collaborators, compliance agencies, technologies and schematics, overrides and kill switches for the power grids and telecoms. It also had event rollout dates, upcoming false flag operations and invasions. Then there was the political hit list, along with a list of radicals which included anyone who had any sort of anti-government views or had been to any sort of protest in the last 10 years. It honestly sounded crazy and far-fetched to me at the time. It was a couple of days after our last meeting that I got a phone call from Kenny. It seemed odd to me because it wasn't his usual phone number on the call display.
Hello?
Cassandra.
Oh, hey, Kenny.
I need to see you. Now. I think I've got myself in trouble. Come over to the coffee shop, bring your laptop, and whatever you do, don't tell anyone where you're going. Okay?
I agreed to meet him. When I arrived at the coffee shop, I saw Kenny standing in front, smoking and pacing. He'd been going through a really bitter custody battle with his ex-wife over their 6-year-old daughter, and I was just getting ready to hear him vent again. That wasn't the case. He seemed really scared. We went into the coffee shop, and when I turned on my computer, I noticed that Kenny kept looking out into the parking lot.
Whatever you do, don't turn on the Wi-Fi. I'm just going to stick this in. I want you to copy it over to your hard drive. And when you get home, get it onto an SD card or something smaller you can hide easily. After that, wipe the file completely from the laptop.
What the hell is this thing?
Then he said to me, remember, this is a part of the drive.
I was telling you about. Someone dropped the USB stick in my mailbox. It has a hit list of dissidents on it. I'm on it, and you're on it. Then suddenly my computer locks up and the software updates. It's a dynamic file. I pulled it out of my computer, and the power of my house went dead. I'm screwed. That's why I need to get the stick back. They have to think it's the only copy. If anything happens to me, call this guy. He'll know what to do.
I remember a chill went through me. This was for real. What had Kenny gotten me into? was the last time I saw Kenny alive. I went home as quickly as I could. I copied the file off my computer onto a micro SD card. I was about to delete the file off my computer, but I wanted to see if Kenny had gone crazy or pulling a practical joke on me. I opened the software. It showed a map of the world. I clicked on Canada, then Ontario, then Toronto, and a button appeared that read dissidents. I clicked the button. There were thousands of names on the list. I found Kenny's name, I clicked it, and photos of him appeared as well as a legend. I-1, intimidate. I-2, incriminate. I-3, incarcerate. I-4, interrogate. Interrogate was highlighted, and a date, January 15, 2015. I scrolled through the list and found my name. Then suddenly I found photos of me. I was to be incriminated as a collaborator on January 16, 2015, the day after Kenny was to be interrogated. Then I found pictures of Kenny and I in the coffee shop in 2010. I was shaking. I thought I was going to throw up. I deleted the file, removed the program, and rolled back the computer date to an earlier date, hoping to erase the software. I hid the micro SD card in my smoke detector. Something in me told me to pack a bag just in case anything happened to Kenny. I couldn't sleep. I looked at the notebook Kenny gave me. Milkman had several crossed out numbers, except one. There were other names blacked out in several ripped out pages. I got up the next morning with no word from Kenny. I took the micro SD card and my bag. And I walked over to his house. I rang the doorbell, but there wasn't any answer. I looked through the front window, but I didn't see any movement. I walked around back of the house to see if I could look in one of the windows. I noticed the door to his garage was open. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach, but I had to know what was in there. I opened the door. It was dark. Then I saw hand tools all over the floor. I'll never forget the tools covered in blood. Then I saw him at the back of the garage. He was tied to a chair, his hands behind his back. His face had been beaten to a pulp. There was a bullet hole in his head. He was dead. I had to get out. I felt sick. All I could think about was that I had to call someone. I ran to the phone booth at the corner.
This message is for Milkman. Kenny told me to call if I'm in trouble. I think I'm in trouble.
I was frozen. Cassandra, the man said. There was a van with the side door open. This is it, I thought. This is either Milkman coming to help me, or this is my last day on Earth.